Oops. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, almost. Welcome to this presentation tonight. We welcome also the York TV participants up in the rooms. I'm glad that I can introduce to you tonight one of the, I would say, premier institutions of our town, which is the Minnesota Institute of Arts. And we have here our guest is, I butcher her name, so she can do that herself. She is the, let me look at my piece of paper, Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, and she is the one who will tell us all about what MIA is all about these days. I suppose some of you or most of you benefited from the tickets that we got from her for the last exhibition. We really appreciated that. So whatever MIA is planning for the time to come, so we'll have an interesting evening tonight. Like always, we will reserve a couple minutes for questions and answers in the end. So here she is. Okay, let me try to read that. So she's from India and she has difficult names. So her name is Virajita. Is that almost right?
Yes, okay. Yes. Can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Yes. And I hope York TV viewers can also hear me. I'm so pleased to be here today. Thank you for having me. And I have a number of slides that I will be sharing, and at the end, I will play a video, which is like a community story of our work with the Tibetan community. So that's coming at the end. So a little bit about me. Is there an echo, or is that just me hearing? It's good? Okay, great. My name is Virajita Singh, as Peter mentioned, and I'm the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer at the Minneapolis Institute of Art. Now, you all may remember it as MIA. Back in 2015 or so, we kind of rebranded to call ourselves MIA, just to make ourselves a little more personal, because MIA means mine in many languages. But we accept you calling us by any name you like, so MIA is good. So I'm very happy to meet you all today here in person and online. And I was very happy to, when I went to the website to learn more about your community after Peter has told us about it, that it's a co-op, because far away in India, in Mumbai, I grew up in a co-op. It was a huge co-op with 188 families and 11 buildings. And it was amazing. And it's about to be demolished so that a new set of buildings can be constructed. And a lot of the people who lived and the children of those, including myself, are all on WhatsApp, you know, this online thing, sharing stories and memories of growing up there. So I think it's very fortunate that you're all in this wonderful co-op. So I wanted to start with MIA's mission, and maybe you know about this, but our core mission is to inspire wonder through the power of art. We aim to enrich the community by collecting, preserving, and making accessible outstanding works of art from the world's diverse cultures. And this means that you can go to MIA and literally travel around the world on a few floors in our building. That makes us pretty special. We have 3 strategic pillars. Back in 2022, we developed a new strategic plan. And in that, we identified these 3 pillars, inclusion, excellence, and sustainability. And everything we do, we look at from the lens of these pillars. So if something is inclusive, we also want it to be excellent and sustainable. And if something is excellent, we ask, is it inclusive? Is it sustainable? So those are the ways we look at it, and it served us very well. Perhaps you know these facts, but MIA is one of the largest art museums in the US. Certainly, we were just talking back at the museum today, but in the 5-state area, I mean, maybe the nearest one is Chicago, after us. Of course, it's much larger. The Met in New York or Boston, the MFA there, the Museum of Fine Art, those are huge collections. But in the Midwest area, we have a really, really important collection. And we are recognized as such. I meet, other museum professionals from around the country, and they all light up when I say I'm from MIA, because they know the collection, they know how special it is, and so on. So we had 193 visitors last year. And our year goes from July 1st to June 30th. So we just counted back in June. And so we were very pleased. And next year, our goal is 650,000 visitors. So I hope you all will come back next year. We have about over 100,000 objects in the collection. And of course, not all of them are displayed. I have a slide that shows how many are usually on the floor. And many of our pieces are also works on paper, which means that they're very, they occupy minimal space. They are all stacked in, but they are light sensitive, so we can't pull them out very often. It has to be done every few years. We have about 140,000 square foot of gallery space, so that's kind of large. We're very known for our Japanese and Chinese art collections. We have some incredible works. And these collections started way back in 1915. 1915 was when the building opened. We've added to the building over the years, but it sounded like on January 1st, 1915, they opened the museum. And we were speculating on how people were much hardier back then, because we wouldn't have an museum opening on January 1st, because they were all standing outdoors and in front of the large steps for the opening. So we show art from about 6 continents, probably because Antarctica may not have much art, at least back then. And it's free to the public, which you probably already know. So here are some more facts. This is just from last year. 91 objects were loaned from MIA to other museums around the world, and we have many partnerships from museums around the world. 4,804 collection objects were on view in MIA, and the actual tally is 103,355, because every year our curators access, they call it accessions, basically bring in new objects. And there's a rigorous process to select that. The trustees of MIA have to also approve, but our curators will present to the trustees their top selection of what they would like to purchase, and so on. So it's an ongoing process. And then in terms of audience and engagement, this number actually is updated now to 600 plus. but we had 79,000 children, K through 12 students come through. And then we served 87,000 people through all our programming. So I wanted to focus on a couple recent exhibitions and then also tell you what's coming, what is going on right now, and then what's ahead. How many of you have actually been to the Minneapolis Institute of Art? Okay, I think most of you have. That's great. So if you know the Target galleries where we have our special exhibitions, so if you went to Modern Art and Politics, that's where our special exhibitions happen. So this exhibition, Giants, art from the Dean collection of the musicians Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys, came to us last year from March to July, and it was really popular. We crossed our sort of goals of audience for it. We had our biggest opening party for it, and people were very, very enthusiastic about it. And it focused on sort of significant works by Black artists, including Gordon Parks, who was a Minnesota resident, and Jean-Michel Basquiat, Lorna Simpson, Amy Sherald, and many more. So it was a spectacular contemporary art collection. The exhibit was created by the Brooklyn Museum because there's always an originating museum that sort of puts it all together. And then it goes to 3 or 4 venues, and we were the 3rd venue for this one, but it was very popular. Another exhibit was called the Royal Bronzes, Cambodian Art of the Divine. And this one explored sort of Cambodia's like massive bronzes. I guess not all of them were massive, some were smaller too, but really very high quality bronzes. And there were over 217 works. Most of them came from a combination of the Musée Guimet in Paris that has a special active partnership with Cambodia and the National Museum in Cambodia. But the rest of it came from the National Museum of Cambodia. And there was a massive 16-foot long figure of Vishnu, this first picture here, that was also displayed. And this was excavated in the 1950s in Cambodia. And then it was found in fragments and had a very interesting story where someone had a dream about the Buddha appearing somewhere underground, and then he goes and digs. This is a true story, apparently, and then goes and digs and finds this statue. It's actually not the Buddha, it's Vishnu, which comes from Indian mythology, which is like the tradition that the Cambodians also have in their culture. It sort of has roots in India. So the fragments were then sent to France, and all of these research teams put it all together and reconstructed it, and that whole piece then came to, I mean, the process was going for many years, but we had the, I guess, the privilege of having it shown at MIA. And then this is the exhibit that many of you visited. What did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? It was, I mean, a lot of people found it powerful. It's a difficult topic as well. So this one was a partnership with the Neue National Gallery in Berlin. But again, they were the originating museum, and then we hosted it here. Now, I think they were telling us the truth because it went to the Kimball Art Museum in Fort Worth, Texas, and then came to us, but they said that ours was the best location. So we'll take that. So that was our most recent exhibition. Currently, we have a small exhibition. If you've ever been, when you've been to MIA, do you remember a small gallery in front of the cafe? There's a tiny gallery. That is it always has changing exhibits, and of course it's free. There's no tickets needed for it. And currently we have a special exhibit called The Meeting Point, and it's open till October 4th. And this one is actually the collection of one of our main trustees, Mary Ingebrand Pollad. And she has been collecting folk art for a long time, and it has sort of basically, it reflects California as a place where America and Latin America meet. So there are pieces that she's collected over a long period of time. The works are by artists of Latin American descent, but most of them, I think, are from California. So it's a fantastic collection. And artists such as Diego Rivera, Alfredo Ramos Martinez, and Miguel Covarrubias are also included in the exhibit. So if you're going to be visiting MIA, be sure to check it out. And this is what's coming. In October, we have Paris Couture. So this is kind of different. You know, it's not the usual. It's about fashion. And so we are partnering in this case with the Palais Galleria in Paris. And the pieces, there's 80 of them, will be from the late 19th century to contemporary pieces. And there's icons, basically designers like Dior, Balenciaga, Schiaparelli, and Grace. You know, so there'll be lots of spectacular clothing on display. So I think if you're interested in fashion, you know, do come. I think it'll be something unique that we haven't had specifically at MIA. And then I also wanted to mention, for those of you who like to go to parties, there is a preview party coming up on Saturday, October 3rd, from 8 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. And tickets are on sale at the MIA website. So I think we like to share that too. Our parties have become very popular, the opening night parties, you know. Another thing, and I know there's a lot of text, so don't worry about reading all of it, but I just wanted to say that we have this summer series program on Thursday nights. So we are open late till 9 p.m. on Thursday, so it's a good night to visit. And we have a number of programs. So I just wanted to show examples. Like this week, August 27th, this Thursday, it's called Summer on a Stick. And we have lawn games, live music, delicious food. And then, you know, there's there'll be artists there. There'll be a live painting demonstration, a scavenger hunt, and there's egg rolls and ice cream in food carts, you know. So every Thursday through the summer, we tried to have something special. And you can see September 3rd is building blocks. So our building was built in 1915 by by McKim, Mead and White architects. And then in the 1970s, we had the Japanese-American architect Kenzo Tange add sections of the building. So where you enter the building on 3rd Avenue now is that part was built by Kenzo Tange. So apparently it's his birthday on September 4th. So we're using that as a theme to celebrate the Thursday program. We also have a movie in the park on September 10th, and then it's also Hispanic Heritage Month, and so we're getting some new Latin American paintings installed, so those will be open. There'll be some studio works happening, and then on September 17th, the theme is sweater weather. So hopefully it won't be sweater weather by September, but you know, it's sort of saying we're wrapping up the summer, you know. This was really interesting, and I was part of the program that developed this kind of programming, and it was funded by Ellen Michelson. They work for providing creativity to adults 55 and older. And so there are specific studio workshops that we offer to people in that age group. And so the upcoming classes are watercolor for beginners, September 12th to October 10th, iconic artists, September 15th to October 13th, and then drawing fashion, October 27th to November 24th. And we try to match it with what is happening in the exhibit. So because we have Paris Couture, we are going to do drawing fashion, you know. And then we also have general studio sessions. Everyone is welcome. And so there is something about linocut printing by the artist Kiko Minami, or at least inspired by that artist. And there's more programs announced all the time on our website. For those of you who like to watch movies, there's the Mia Matinee, and the listing is here. Nightmare Before Christmas in October, November, Fry Bread, Face and Me. December 26th is Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. January 30th, How to Steal a Million. February 27th, Hidden Figures. March 27th, Certain Women, and then there'll be more on our website. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about communities and how we engage them. So I mentioned that Vishnu piece in the Royal Bronzes exhibit. This is a picture of that. So it was part of my role to work with communities. And with each exhibit, we try to get in touch with and invite communities to be part of the presentation in some way. And I had not known before I started working on this project that there are 12,000 Cambodian Minnesotans here. And that's a large number. And also in a minute you'll see they have an amazing, at least one group within the larger community has an amazing Buddhist temple that they have been building over the last 37 years. And this is in Hampton, Minnesota, or near Hampton, Minnesota. And so it was really a great honor to work with them. And this is the opening ceremony. They had monks come in from that Buddhist temple to do blessings for that figure, because for them it was really important. And then here in the center, I don't know if you can see, here is the director of the National Gallery in Cambodia, from Cambodia, who was here. And he was amazed to see such a large community, Cambodian community, because they didn't know what they'd find in Minnesota, and here they find sort of members from their community. And so these decorations here were actually made by the community, at the museum. So that was pretty special. And then in turn, they invited us to their Buddhist temple, and here it is, this massive Buddhist temple. And I haven't, actually, you can see here, this gate was just completed last August, meaning a year ago, with a massive celebration and so on. So it's really worth a visit, and there are festivals through the year, and anybody can go, So I think you should really consider maybe a field trip, And if anyone needs to contact the community, I'm happy to make the connection if that would be useful. But it was such a wonderful experience, and it was a beautiful day. We had some rituals inside, and what was really beautiful was to see the Minnesotan Cambodians and the visitors from government officials from the national government of Cambodia connect here, in Minnesota. It was very special. Another example of how we engage the community is we had an exhibit of Jose Maria Velasco, who is a Mexican artist from the 1900s. And he has done some spectacular landscapes. We also have recently acquired, or our chair of Americas, Valeria Piccoli, had acquired this painting of the Virgin of Guadalupe. And so we had a reception for it and invited community members, and you can see that there were also dancers, Aztec dancers, and so on. So I think we also do events like that for the community and for anyone else who would like to join. And then this brings me to my last slide, and I would love to hear questions, but I wanted to show you this video. We also have a Tibetan shrine room. I think Denise mentioned seeing the mandala at the museum, which was actually created in 1991. But more recently, we were given the gift of 200 plus objects by a collector, Alice Candle, who had it all arranged in the form of a shrine room in her New York apartment. And her condition was that the museum should display it like a shrine room so that people can get that sense of experience of what it is like to be in a Tibetan shrine room. So we committed to that and created the shrine room. So if you go to the museum, this is a permanent exhibit, so it'll always be there. You can actually walk into the shrine room and experience it. And it's very powerful because I've seen people time and again go there for a moment of peace and so on. And we engage the Tibetan community in that process. We started working with them in 2023. We opened the shrine room in 2024, and they have been our friends ever since. Every once in a while, you'll see some monks at the cafe, and they've made Mia like their own. But before that, they had never stepped into the museum. So many times, even with the Cambodian community, they didn't know what the Minneapolis Institute of Art was. They had never visited. And now it's a place that they can call their own. It helps that we're free so that they can come anytime. So those are sort of, good stories about how the work continues. While the shrine room celebrations were happening, we were connected by the community to these nuns, Tibetan nuns, who were traveling in the United States. So we invited them to come make a sand mandala at the museum as part of the opening. So for a week before the shrine room opened, they made the sand mandala, people came to watch it, and then we went with them, and actually the goal of the sand mandala is it's a representation of the universe and the fact that everything is born and everything dies, So at the end of a certain time period, they destroy it and then return it to the water, typically flowing water. So we ended up taking it to the Mississippi, with the nuns. So that is the story that you'll watch in this video. And after the video, I'm open for questions. So let's hope this works. Okay, now you'll have to tell me. Can you hear it? Right. Well, thank you so much for watching. And now I'm ready for questions.
It would be easy to get the impression that Mia is slanted towards the Asian culture. I think that's true.
I won't say it's true if you look at our whole collection, but I think some of the examples recently, like modern art and politics certainly wasn't Asian, but the Cambodian was, and this Tibetan. And we do have a very strong collection, as I mentioned earlier, of Japanese and Chinese objects. And because we feature the exhibits and work with the specific communities, that come up, that are related to it, so these examples are Asian, and they're recent acquisitions, if you will. The Tibetan Shrine Room was 2023, the Cambodian bronzes was just last year. Does that answer your
Do you
question?
have any Korean art, an exhibition?
Korean?
Korean, yeah.
Yes, we do. It's a smaller collection than our Japanese and Chinese collections. Both Korean and Indian are smaller collections, but there is some excellent examples, Great. Yeah.
On your very first slide, there was a picture of a tapestry.
Yes.
And I think I read recently that that is coming to Mia, and it's the largest tapestry in the world.
I think,
Could you tell
I
us
don't know.
about it?
Yes, absolutely. So this is the Dante tapestry, as it's called, and it is on view, which is why I selected this image, but I didn't say anything about it. So thank you for bringing it up. It's up till, I believe, till January, and it is the largest tapestry of its kind, I believe, in Europe, basically outside Europe, and it is the only tapestry that represents Dante's, whole, the whole story ever. So this is the best example of its kind. The issue with the tapestry, which we own, is that it was in very bad condition. It was not fit to be put up for presentation. And we got a grant that allowed us to have it restored. There is the Midwest Art Conservation Center, the office right out in our basement in Mia, and they did some extraordinary work thanks to the funding we received from donors. And because of that, we were able to exhibit, because it was in no condition to be exhibited. So I highly recommend, it's huge. If you've ever been to the European Baroque Gallery, where we have these huge paintings around, and there's a little sort of atrium, this is on the third floor, we had to take down some of those paintings because it was only in that spot that this huge tapestry could be hung. And it was a feat of, real planning and delivery by all our teams to even put it up there. They had to create a rigging that it could be stretched on, and they realized that it had to be aluminum because of the light, for being lightweight. And then the whole thing was raised up. So it was quite a remarkable thing. So if you get a chance, do come and see it. It's, once in a, real long while.
Okay, I'm interested in exhibitions that travel. I wonder how that process works. If you initiate a show, do other museums bid for it? And when you have a special show like the Cambodian show or something, how does the museum latch on to that exhibition schedule?
Great question. A lot of it is, I almost think, serendipity. So for the Cambodian show, our director, Katie Luber, was in Paris meeting with the Musée Guimet about other loans and other partnerships. They mentioned that they were going to create this exhibit and it was in the works. And she immediately said to them, it would be great to bring it to Minnesota.
Essentially, it's schmoozing.
Sorry?
Essentially, it is
Schmoozing. You could say, being at the right place at the right time. But there are other times where, because all these museum professionals, the curators, the directors, they are all, it's a small network really across the country and the world, So they're always telling each other and sharing what's happening. And if there is an interest, because each museum tries to differentiate itself, like we are special for this. And so it's very unique. And this is why you only have like 3 or 4 places that any exhibit created will go. So it's not like it goes everywhere, but 3 to 5 places. So it's really, there is a plan that the curators and the curatorial department makes about what is our vision, what kinds of exhibits do we dream of, what would be great for our audiences. If some of you saw the Botticelli show some years ago, I don't know if you saw that, that was spectacular because most Minnesotans don't travel to Italy. And to bring that here was really, really special. So, it is us keeping an eye on that. And what was really special is that there were a couple of artworks that were dispersed when the Medici courtyard, where the artists were making the art, was destroyed. They were dispersed, and they met again, those pieces, in the same space at MIA, because we were creating the show and we asked for certain loans and so on. So it's kind of also historic. Each of these exhibits has something very unique. Like, for example, in the Modern Art and Politics, if you saw the Katty Kollwitz part of it, that was our pieces joining the Berlin pieces to then add this very special, unique experience, Any other questions? This one in the back.
We know that the holdings at MIA are invaluable. We all sometimes read about art theft at other museums.
Yes.
There must be very elaborate security arrangements,
Yes.
the details of which it's just as well that none of us know, right?
Yes, that's right. We don't share our security details to the public. But I will say that just so you understand, every year there's an audit, just as part of the financial audit, there's also an art audit. So randomly, I think 100 objects are chosen across our collections, and then the auditors will make sure that they're actually there where they're supposed to be. And if they are not, that would mean trouble. But so far, everything's in place, you know. So yes, and it is very unnerving when you hear of the Louvre or other places having, it's really feels tragic, you know, so we are definitely concerned. Any such news thing will make us all kind of actually on the leadership team discuss, you know, what about our processes? Are they up to speed and so on? So it's an ongoing process. Thank you. There was a hand back there.
Based upon the presentation, it looks like you've got some very valuable pieces there. Can you share with us what's the value of the most expensive one that you've got right now?
You mean the most expensive artwork, the value? Unfortunately, I don't have that top of you know, my head. Probably the curators know, but I will tell you the Rembrandt that we have, the Lucretia, is the best one in the world. So I think we can Google what a Rembrandt is, you know, right now. Our Van Gogh, the Olive Groves, is also, he made, I think, 5 pieces, and we actually had an exhibit a couple years ago where we got the other 4 on loan and then showed those together in Mia. But that's also a really spectacular one. So we have individual objects, but I think Rembrandt would be up there as perhaps one of the most valuable. No.
You have such very well-trained docents at MIA. When you have a special exhibit, do all the docents get special training on that, or do you select docents who will be just for that exhibit?
It's both and. So in fact, I contribute to the trainings that happen for each exhibit. So we have a day-long training for all front of the museum staff, you know, like people who meet with visitors and so on, and that includes the docents. But then they get an additional training just by the curator, usually about 2 or 3 hours long, on that specific exhibit. And all the docents get it, or those who want to, but then there are some special selection of docents. Some of them is, you know, based on their past work and expertise and also interest, because they're volunteers, so it's up to them if they want to tour that exhibit. So, you know, I think for modern art and politics, there were like, I want to say about 40 plus docents that were trained in that because they wanted to. And there's always much more demand about who wants to, you know, tour that show than, you know, we can accommodate because of the number of tours that are available and so on. So I think all the docents get the training, and then some are specially assigned to the thing. Yeah. There's one more question.
Do you still have the program for schools, art in the schools?
Yes. It's called Art Adventure, and it's a really popular program. So the program it's often engages parents. I was an Art Adventure parent. You were too? Excellent. So what it is that they train volunteers on about 10 objects, I think, from the collection, and there's like huge posters about it and so on. And then the parents go to the classrooms and talk about the art.
Right.
And there's art making often in the classroom around those pieces. And then there's a field trip that bringing the kids to the museum, and then the parents and other parents and all of that bring in. So that's going strong. It's one of our very popular programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed working with it and the training that we got to.
Exactly. And I think that actually was something that made me interested too. So I actually did the Art Adventure program and then ended up volunteering as a guide at the museum for 15 years. And this was before I knew I would be working someday for the museum. So, it's kind of a lot of people connect to the museum in so many different ways.
I heard a story that there's a Greek architect, Greek sculpture there that's controversial, whether actually owns it. You familiar with that story, or is this
No.
just rumor I heard? Huh?
Okay, do you know what the
I
art
don't
piece
know the
is?
name of the sculpture, no.
And is it outdoors or?
No. It would be second floor as you're walking.
Oh,
towards it.
Doryphorus. Okay, yes. I guess and you can sort of see it. It's in the news sometimes. But essentially, there is some. We've done research, and the Doryphorus has its the provenance, as they call it. Is pretty much clear that it is to us from the research that it is from a certain area. I think the Italian government thinks that it is from a place that they claim it is. So I think there is a little bit of that, but it isn't, it's an ongoing conversation.
Could you describe the audio equipment that is available to visitors to take them around the exhibit? How extensive is it? Is it a good idea to use that kind of equipment when you visit?
Yeah, there are audio guides available, but only some objects are, sort of have recordings. But we're making a transition. Since the last couple of exhibits, we have been using Bloomberg Connects, which is available to you as an app. In fact, Modern Art and Politics had sort of 20 pieces on it. The next exhibit also will have pieces on it. And so that is actually really convenient because you can hear it on your own with your phone, and you can hear it before you get to the museum too, and then while you're there as well. So we are trying to expand the accessibility so that you're not dependent on sort of the museum ones, and you can bring your own. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
Is Mia currently working on a major show that might be traveling?
I think the Paris Couture, we are expecting it's going to be very. It came from the Palais Galleria, but we have our pieces in, and we've also partnered with the Goldstein Museum. Do you know that? It's at the University of Minnesota. We have one of their objects and so on. But we're expecting, if all goes well, about 60,000 people to come to the show. So I think it's going to be spectacular. And I wanted to tell Peter that if you'd like tickets for the group, we'd be happy to provide, it opens in October. Yeah.
Great.
So, great. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for coming today, and I'm around if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. But before you leave, just a few announcements. On Thursday, 2 days from now, we'll have a movie in here called The Parents, a fun movie. Then you might have seen in the New York Times that Frank Sachs is going to be back for a 7-part series starting in September, finish up before the elections, and it will be about voting and disputed elections and things like that. Does that sound familiar at all? Also, I want you to be aware of a professor is coming in via Zoom from Southern Connecticut State University, and his talk will be titled, "What is the war in Iran really about?" That's a pretty timely topic, I'd say. So that's one reason to be here. The other reason is He's a son-in-law of David and Lori Gable. So be sure to come and see that on September 8th. Okay? Thank you for being here.